there is a lot of deep meaning in the last fight in Fate Zero, so much so that I actually decided to make a video about it. So yes, the last fight in Fate Zero, Kirei versus Kiritsugu. Now, Kirei and Kiritsugu are very interesting characters, and normally in anime we see fight scenes that really capture our interest because of how good they are in terms of their strategy, or rather how much emotional hype they carry. But this fight scene is very different because this has a lot of philosophical elements and imbued into it that we actually miss that are right in front of us. So let's actually tackle them. So Kirei and Kiritsugu are interesting characters because we all know they're very similar superficially, but they are actually very different inside, and to a very great extent in that. Because on the outside we assume that Kiritsugu and Kirei are very similar, and they both even see each other as that way. But later on it turns out that Kiritsugu is seeking something else and Kirei is seeking something else. And Kirei is different inside, Kiritsugu is different inside. So that's a difference that we miss. But what is that difference? So here's the interesting part. So Kirei is someone who has reality under his grasp. He has a lot of rich experiences in the world, and he has done a lot of things. So much to the point that he actually changes his professions. But what Kirei lacks is deeper inner meaning, and he actually is seeking to find out what he values most in life and trying to find himself internally, whereas Kiritsugu is someone who actually knows himself inside and has deep connections that actually satiate his heart, such as of course Irie and Maya and other characters he holds dear, such as of course Natalia, even though she has passed. Kiritsugu still knows himself inside, but he is still seeking something external. He wants to change the world. So yes, notice how one character is oriented towards himself inside, but has accomplished the outer world, whereas the other character is seeking to establish something in the outer world, but has found himself inside. So that's the difference between the two characters here. Now, this fight actually demonstrates this in a very beautiful and metaphoric way. So I actually thought about this. So notice how Kirei's fighting style is called the Beijai Quan. Now this is a Chinese martial art, but Kirei's version is of course a fictional version, but still, it still is the Beijai Quan, but of course Super Beijai Quan as a Fate series has established it. But yes, Beijai Quan is a very interesting martial art because, well, it actually focuses on destroying your opponent internally. This is why we don't see Kiritsugu bleed so much, because Kirei is focusing on destroying Kiritsugu eternally, whereas we see Kiritsugu actually destroy Kirei on the outside so much that we actually see Kirei bleed several times and even lose his connections to his veins on his arms, and that's actually very brutal. But Kirei is still enduring through it, and both characters are enduring through it. Now this is very interesting. Now, like I mentioned earlier, how one has the outside under his grasp while the other has the inside in his grasp. Notice how Kirei is destroying Kiritsugu on the inside. Kiritsugu has found himself in the inside, whereas Kiritsugu is destroying Kirei on the outside, and Kirei has the outside. So that's actually something that is really cool. They are both profound at destroying what they are, well, bad at themselves, and they are actually destroying what the other has already got. And that's actually something that is very metaphorical when you think about it, because two characters who are very similar, but their fighting styles are so dynamic and contrasting to the point that we actually see how much metaphorical meaning they contain, in that they actually repel each other directly despite how similar they are. It's like there's two fire type Pokemon, but at the same time, for some reason, they're super effective against each other. But yeah, that's very interesting in my personal opinion. So yeah, Kirei and Kiritsugu is a fight that actually managed to capture our attention because of its crisp animation, but actually has a lot of meaning inside. And also towards the end of the fight, of course, we see Kiritsugu get this superficial win, but of course in the end Kirei wins the Great War, and that's actually something that's also very interesting because Kirei actually is the one who had the world under his control, like I mentioned earlier, and actually just sought the deeper meaning, and there we go, he got it. Whereas Kiritsugu on the other hand had another realization. He realized that what he sought was not very achievable in his opinion, but later on, of course, his legacy is carried on by Shiro in Fate Stay Night, which actually deserves a video on this topic later on. So yeah, with that out of the way, thanks for watching.